Welcome to Live, Laugh and Learn with Mary podcast. Come on in, the one podcast where we live, inspire, forgive and empower. Real stories, real growth, real light to share. Real stories, real growth, real light to share.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode on Live, Laugh, and Learn with yours truly. So we are kicking off our teen series, episode number 3. So I'm super excited because I have my daughter with me along this journey because there are some topics that we just need to talk about as parents and teenagers so that we can not only understand one another, but we can help someone else. So without further ado, Samaria, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. There she go being sarcastic. Y'all know how she she come in. So today we are talking about your relationship with your parents as a teen. And I wanted to talk about this because it's very important. Even at a teen conference, I was there, and I remember hearing one of the young ladies talking to her, and she was just saying, my parents just don't understand me. And, you have some teens that they just like, I just can't wait till I'm old enough to get out the house. Have you heard some of that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And I think sometimes it is hard for teens to understand different things that the parents may put in place, okay? Like, for starters, let's talk about rules. Like, when you're living under your parents' roof, but let's just go back a little bit. So, our dynamic is I co parent with your father. So, the dynamic of co parenting, it actually started when you was a baby. So, I think it's a lot easier now than if you was 16 and we had to do co-parenting. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there are certain things when it comes down to co-parenting that if, like, let's just say maybe a parent was together until a child reached a certain age, maybe 10, 12, or whatever, it may make it a little difficult for that child to transition into, okay, now I go with one parent here and I go with another parent here. So that's why you have to have sometimes you may have to have the law involved to help you when it comes down to an order. But back to what we're talking about with your relationship with parents. So let's talk about your relationship with me. I know that, would you consider me a hands-on parent or like, sometimes a gentle parent?
Hands-on.
And you will consider your dad more so a gentle parent?
Yeah.
Okay. So why am I hands-on?
I don't know how to explain it, but like I would say like you care more than him, but it's like you're more protective than him. Like, yeah.
Well, I would say I think the word is I'm more so um hmm what would we say? Protective? Yeah. With your I would say with your dad is kind of like he's the like cool fun dad, and he can and you are able to do a lot of different things, right?
Yeah.
Hmm. And that's the difference between your parents, your mother and your father. And there are certain things when it comes down to me being more hands-on, and it's not that your dad is not hands-on, is that I'm a little more hands-on. I try to be a little more involved with different things because I'm considering your safety. When you do certain things, I'm also considering that you are a daughter, right? So there are different factors you have to consider when it pertains to a girl, just as well as I'm sure it's different factors when it comes down to a boy. So when it talks about having that effective communication with your parents, how do you determine which parent you're going to talk to if there's something that you would like to talk about? Like, give me some examples of, hey, mom, this is something I would talk to you about. This is something I would talk to my dad about. And if you can give a reason.
I would probably talk to you like about friends, like in school or whatever, because like you've had friends and then you like lost some friends because that's kind of how life is sometimes when like, and sometimes I like ask my dad about boys because like he's
A male?
yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, that's good. So there are certain things that you will ask me because you're like, okay, well, you've been a young lady before, so you will know the dynamics of what I'm experiencing when it comes down to friends.
Yeah.
And I can understand, when it comes down to the opposite sex, of course you want to ask your dad because you want to know, okay, well, what's up with this? What happens if this person do X, Y, Z? So, that's a good way. But I think it is great for teenagers, not even just teenagers, for children to have that open dialogue or have that open door policy with their parents where they can come and talk to them, even though it may be a little hard for them to talk to about certain things, because it's like, what if they're gonna say no, this, that, and the third? Because I know it has been several instances where you're like, I don't want to go say nothing to my mom because I already know the answer, right?
Yeah.
So when we talk about relationship with your parents, I want to talk about Proverbs 22:6, and I'm having my daughter read that.
Train a child in the way he should go, and even when he is old, he will not turn away from it.
Okay, so how do you interpret that? What's your understanding of that scripture? Proverbs 22:6.
Like train him like what he should do, what's right or wrong, stuff like that, and like he won't forget it like when they're older.
Okay, that's good. Because I like the fact that you said training them, letting them know what's right and what's wrong, and that doesn't mean that when the child get older that they are going to not make mistakes, because we've made mistakes as parents. But what they're saying is, as a parent, your job is to sow the seed and to train them and educate them so that they can make the correct decision. Now they're going to fall just like we have fallen, right? And I would say that our parents was not always there. We had to learn, right? So these are some things we have to understand, that when the Bible tells us, the Word of God tells us to train up a child in the way that it should go, and when they become old, they will not depart from it. It's not saying they are not going to make mistakes, because parents, I need you to understand that you made mistakes. So have that level of grace for your children as well. But understand your job as a parent is to sow the seed and allow God to do the rest. But always consider covering your children, because you don't know the dynamics of everything that they may encounter throughout the day or just in this world in general. So your job is to that impartation. So as we talk about this, I know that some kids, they don't like the rules of the house. Like, okay, like for instance, I have some rules for you, and that's okay. You give me your phone at 10:30. That's because you don't have school, and you also go to bed at 10:30 when you don't have school. During school, it's actually 9:30. There are some things like, okay, early in the morning, you can't just get your phone. You have to do your devotions. Okay, you do have chores. And also, in this house, we serve the Lord. And also, there's a dress code. Like, there are certain things I'm like, no, you're not going to do. Why is it that teens get so frustrated when rules are being shared?
Because some of them may be too strict.
And are you saying that they may be too strict based on what everybody else is doing? Or that's just your feeling in general? Because how are you using the measuring? Think about it. How are you using the measuring meant based on what is too strict?
I mean, kind of both. It's like when you see your friends, they like can like do whatever, like, and it makes it be like, oh, I can't do that.
And that's not to say that their parents don't care. I'm not saying that their parents don't care. I would say it's more so when you are in tune and you're trying to make sure that you are making the wisest decision and not putting your child in harm's way. Like I can say, hey, yeah, you can buy that mini skirt, and you go out here and not saying something's gonna happen, but you never know because of the world we live in. Which my job as a mother is to protect you and to guide you in the right path. So of course, that's just like I don't know what the phrase is, but it's like, okay, you can't get mad at if somebody come to you and said, how much are those apples for sale, if you got your apples advertised. So if you understand, do you understand that concept?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And I know that when you're co-parenting, of course, you cannot control what goes on in someone else's house. All right, parents? And I know that, this was something that was a little hard for me. It's like, no, you don't do that at home. You shouldn't do it over there. But you look at it like, okay, I'm not there, so I should have a little freedom when I'm with my dad.
Yeah.
Okay. So, because I know, you have freedom when it comes down to like, there are different social media things you're on, and you're able to go over your friend's house and possibly hang out and stuff like that. So that is a difference when it comes down to me and your dad. So that's why it's so important that we as parents not get upset if your child there are some things that your child may not come to you about, as long as they are talking to a parent about something or an adult that you trust. Then understand that it's going to come back to you sooner or later. And one thing I learned as well is whatever you need to know, God will show you, right? God will show you what you need to know so that you can pray and intercede, but also so you can be bold and speak and address some things that you may need to address. And sometimes the teens, they don't like that. And I can say that you're pretty good when it comes down to, you have this gift where you're able to flow and you don't give me a big backlash or anything like that. You better not. But I think for you is more so you do get quiet if there's something that you don't understand, or you want to say something but you don't say it, so you just kind of just get quiet, like, okay, it's whatever. I can't change it. But I want you to know, you are a respectable young lady. I don't have any issues when it comes down to you, but I do know there are parents that have issues with teens. And hey, look, I was a teenager before, and because I did not want to follow my mom's rule, of course, I'm running away. I'm doing all this other stuff, and then you have some kids, like at school. What do they do at school?
Nothing they're supposed to be doing.
You got some kids that are vaping. You got some kids that are dressing different ways and that they don't normally do because they like, okay, I just want to be rebellious. But you have to understand that, one of the things that I heard from a wise person was you have to let your children know the parameters of certain things. We may talk to them and say, well, that's a big no-no. But we have to understand, if you do the parameters is this is the guidelines, and if you step outside the guidelines, that's just like, with my book, The Girl Who Lived Behind the Fence. The part one is the fence is there. It's a metaphor, right, for your protection. Growing up, my dad said, hey, do not go outside that fence. Why do you think he said do not go outside the fence?
Because it's a lot that you don't know outside the fence, and you might do something and it might have consequences.
Oh, I like your thinking. Yes. As you can see, we did not rehearse this. Yes, that is correct. My dad growing up, he's like, no, anything inside the fence I can protect you from. But when you step outside that fence, I cannot protect you.
But it's kind of like you can't always say no, because how is a child going to experience certain things?
No, and I think when it comes down to it, like you said, no, it's more so you have to understand where your child is at mentally, mentally, emotionally. Okay, is your child able to handle if you say yes? Are they responsible enough? Have they proven themselves? I remember us going through a phase where, okay, I couldn't really trust something that you were saying, because it's repeated. Okay, I can't trust you. You have broken the trust. So there has to be a period of, you have to regain that trust so that your parents can be like, okay, yeah, sure, you can, sure, you can do that. So we're at a stage where now we can say that there are certain things I'm kind of a little more lenient about. I'm like, yeah, let's go get one of your friends. You can go over there and chill. Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's, everything, there is a time and a place for everything. But I understand, no person want to hear no all the time. But just think about it. What is that no doing for you? It's protecting you. There may be some things that you don't see. So you just have to trust your parents' judgment. And also, when you have that freedom to do whatever, just make sure that you use that freedom wisely, because the word of God tells us about that too. Do not use your liberty to walk after the flesh, but use your liberty to walk after the spirit. Do things God would approve of, okay? You have to stand out, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to say?
Nope.
All right. Well, I thank you so much for joining me on this episode where we're talking about our relationship with our parents and having that open dialogue and being able to follow their rules and regulations, and understanding that there is a level of respect you have to have for them, regardless of whether or not you agree with what they're saying and you agree with what they're doing, because ultimately they are the parents. Until next time, be blessed.
Until next time, thank you for listening to Live, Laugh, and Learn with Mary. Please subscribe to stay updated and share with someone you know could benefit from this podcast. For products and services